Welcome to Gardening with Ben, the podcast where we dig into the soil of our gardens and the depths of our green thumbs. I'm your host Ben, here to guide you through the joys of gardening, from sowing seeds to reaping bountiful harvests. Each episode will explore tips, tricks and tales from the garden and allotment, sharing insights from ourselves and stories from our own back garden adventures. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just getting your hands dirty for the first time, there's something here for everyone. So grab your brew and gardening gloves and let's get growing with Gardening with Ben. Hello everyone and welcome back to Gardening with Ben's podcast. And today's episode we are going to be talking about what to plant in February. Yes, so we're going to be literally looking at all the different things you can plant in the vegetable garden, in the flower garden, or in the fruit orchard. So as winter grips begin to loosen, February offers a unique window for gardeners. It's a time when the quiet of the garden starts to hum with positivity as spring starts to approach. From the allotment to the backyard, we're on the cusp of spring's revival, and it's time to lay the groundwork for a bountiful year. In this episode, we'll delve into the seeds that thrive in February's cool embrace, whether you're wrapping your fingers around a packet of onions, leeks, or perhaps vibrant pansies and snapdragons. We're here to guide you through each step. So sit back, gather your seed trays, and let's begin Gardening with Ben's February Planting podcast. So in this episode, as we always say, because these are very popular episodes, these on what to plant each month, and they usually get a lot of listens to, and rather than having to keep coming back and listening to it, which you can do if you want to, is grab yourself a notebook and we'll make some notes on what you can plant this month. And remember, obviously this is the UK timings as well, so if you're listening to this, this is what to plant in February in the UK timings. So hopefully we'll get through all this episode. First off, we'll talk about what to plant in the vegetable garden, then it'll be what to plant in the fruit garden, and then what to plant in the flower garden. And some of these things, obviously you'll need some heat to grow them because obviously it's cold weather at the moment. But yeah, hopefully you will be able to start growing some seeds or plants in February. And I know I'm looking forward to it. It is warming up a bit here in the UK, but they have tipped that snow is on the way again. But you know what the weather forecast is, it can change from 1 minute to the other minute. So make sure you've got your notebook, grab yourself a cup of coffee, and let's look at what we can start sowing in February. So right, let's start with what vegetables we can start to grow in February. And there's quite a lot. I didn't realise how many seeds there actually are, what we can start growing in February. And yeah, this could be quite a long list for you to write down. But we'll go through it all step by step and talk about what we can start sowing in February. So first on the list is aubergine. These do take a long time to get growing, but they'll need some heat to start them off. So if you're wanting a good crop of aubergines, now is the time to be sowing them so that you get an earlier crop and you can get them ripening faster towards the summertime. So if you're wanting to grow aubergines this year, now is the time to be sowing the seeds for them. Beetroot. If it's warm enough in your greenhouse, why not start some seeds off now and get them planted, ready for planting once the frost has gone. So start an early crop and get some beetroot growing if you fancy it. Broad beans. You can plant out hardy ones this month. So if you've got some hardy broad beans, feel free to start planting them outside, but make sure that they are the hardy variety and not the ones that will get affected by frost and snow, because like I said, snow could be on the way pretty soon. Brussels sprouts. Did you know that these take nearly all year to grow? So if you're wanting to grow some Brussels sprouts, this is the month to start your seeds off sowing, or you can start them off next month as well. So either February or March for growing your Brussels sprouts. And I'm tempted about growing the purple variety this year. You never know. They might actually taste nice. But yeah, have a look around and see what Brussels sprouts you want to start growing. If you're wanting to start some summer variety cabbages, this is the month to start your cabbage off. Whether you wanted to start them out to get them planted out after the frost has gone, but now is the time to be growing summer varieties of cabbage. Carrots, again, if it's warm enough in the greenhouse, why not start some sowing of carrots now? And if you sow some now, then you can keep doing a continuous crop throughout the year and get them growing with plenty of crops coming throughout the year. And carrot seeds are pretty cheap as well. They're not the most expensive, and you get absolutely thousands of seeds in a packet. So it's worth off giving them a try. Cauliflower. Why not start sowing some cauliflower this month and next month? I will definitely be growing my favourite variety. Again, it's purple cauliflower, not the white cauliflower, but the purple one. If you have a look on Amazon, it's not a fake one, it's a real one, because sometimes you get fake seeds and stuff like that. They say, oh, you can grow a purple watermelon, but they're cons. But there are purple cauliflowers out there, and my purple cauliflowers grow a lot better than the white variety. Something I won't be growing next, celery. If you're wanting to grow some celery, this is the month to start sowing it. Chicory. If you want a summer harvest of chicory, you can start sowing these this month in the polytunnel or under clochers. Garlic. If you haven't started your garlic off yet, start them off now in the greenhouse and start planting them out in the soil this month, because you still need that cold weather to help make them split and to grow a proper garlic bulb. Jerusalem artichoke. Have you ever tried growing Jerusalem artichoke? I know I certainly haven't. Maybe I should give that a try as well this year. If you wanted to grow some, plant tubers this month in the ground. Leeks. If you're wanting to grow some whoppers like you see in the shows and stuff like that, now is the time to be sowing the leeks. Get them sown in the greenhouse this month for big, massive leeks in the garden. Peas. If you're wanting to start some early peas off, you'll need to sow these undercover in pots. Just remember to protect them from mice and rats, because they do love to come and find them. So if you're wanting an early crop of peas, start sowing them in pots now. But obviously we don't plant them outside yet, but just start them off in pots under cover where it's nice and warm, and you can start an early crop of peas off. Peppers, again, these are like aubergines. They need to be grown nice and early and started. So if you wanted them to germinate, you'll need to start them off in somewhere really warm, because they need about 24 degrees to get germinated, peppers do. So if you wanted to grow peppers, start them off this month inside in a nice warmth, but remember that they don't get too much light, and that they need the adequate amount of light to grow peppers, because you don't want them growing funny. Obviously you need all the lighting equipment or a nice windowsill so that they don't grow really thin and spindly. Potatoes. If you've not started chitting your potatoes this month you can start them off. Make sure they're in a bright space where it's frost free. Put them in some egg boxes and start chitting them, ready for planting out. I always plant my potatoes out on Good Friday. I know it moves every year, but I always stick to that rule. I plant my potatoes on Good Friday. Radish. These are one of the fastest growing vegetables to grow. You can keep sowing these at regular intervals all throughout the year, and you can start some off this month if you're wanting an early crop of radish. Shallots. As well as growing your garlic outdoors, this month you can sow your shallots outside as well. And you can start them off in the greenhouse if you want, or you can start them off straight outside in the ground. Spring onions. Get the name from being spring. Now is the time to start sowing some spring onions, but make sure it's in a nice warm greenhouse, ready to plant out in a couple of months, and then you can start a later batch off later as well. Again, you can keep doing a regular sowing so that you get a regular crop of spring onions. Again, you get loads of seeds in a packet, so if you wanted to grow some spring onions, this is the month to start sowing them. Tomatoes. If you sow your tomatoes now, the longer year of cropping you'll have from them. So you can either start them off this month or next month, depending on if you're growing them indoors or outdoors. I'll be growing mine in my greenhouse, so I'll be starting them off next month. But yeah, now you can start sowing all your tomato seeds. And let me know what variety of tomatoes you'll be growing. So that is basically everything that you can sow in the vegetable garden in February. And as I said, there is a lot of stuff on there. But do not go rushing things. Don't go thinking, oh, I can start sowing all these seeds now. I tend to wait until March time before I start sowing all my seeds. Again, I don't have anywhere indoors and I don't get the right amount of light to grow it indoors. They'll all grow weedy if I grow them indoors. I usually wait until it's warmed up and I start sowing them in March in my greenhouse. Obviously, if you wanted to grow the peppers and the aubergines, you do need to start sowing them now. They'll be too late if you start sowing them next month. They possibly might catch up, but I tend to start them off this month if you're going to be growing peppers and aubergines. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that part of the section. Next up, we're going to be talking about what things we can plant in the fruit garden in February. And obviously, as the months go on, these lists will get longer. So that's one of the reasons why I start doing all my jobs in my allotment all the way through the winter, because once it starts getting to sowing seeds and stuff like that, it gets quite busy and you don't get a chance to do all the jobs you want in the allotment. So what can we plant in February? There's still lots of stuff we can be planting in February. Again, this is a dormant time. It's just before the fruit starts waking up in springtime and starts taking root and growing all the leaves and everything. So there is a lot we can actually plant in February. Now is the time to be planting all your fruit trees and all your fruit bushes. You don't want to be planting them in summertime because they will not take as well as they would do in a winter time when there's lots of rain and water to get them growing really. So this month we can plant as currant trees. These can be your black currants, red currants and your white currants. Remember to leave enough space in between the plants because they will get quite big and bushy. Blackberries. If you're wanting to grow some blackberries, this is the time to be planting your blackberry canes. The ideal place to grow your blackberries is down the side of your plot so that you can fasten the canes along fencing or edging to grow them along that. I've got thornless blackberries on my plot and they are absolutely fantastic. You couldn't believe how far they've actually grown, the canes on them. They're absolutely fantastic, and obviously they don't spike you to death when you try and pick all the blackberries, which I didn't want. I love blackberries, but I wanted somewhere, obviously I don't prickle myself as I'm picking them all, and they're nice and they just don't hurt you, to be honest, and they're an absolutely delicious variety. I get absolutely loads on these blackberries, so I do recommend growing thornless blackberries. Fruit trees, you'll see them everywhere in the shops at the moment, supermarkets, garden centres. And yeah, I did buy mine from the supermarket and they've done absolutely fantastic. I get a fantastic produce from them and they're cheap as all. So if you're wanting some fruit trees, have a look around your supermarkets. And if you're looking for a plum tree, I recommend the Victoria plum tree, as that is the one that I've got and it does absolutely delicious plums. Gooseberries. Now is the time to be planting gooseberries. Now I've not got any green gooseberries on my allotment. I've got red gooseberries growing on mine. Green ones are sour, but red ones are sweet, and the red ones taste absolutely delicious. So if you wanted some nice sweet gooseberries, now is the time to be planting them. So have a look around for the red varieties. Raspberries. Now is the time to be planting your raspberry canes. You can try summer fruiting ones or you can grow autumn raspberries. Just remember to label them up so that you know which ones are which, whether you plant some at one side of the plot or some at the other side of the plot so that you know which varieties they are. And you need to remember which ones they are, because summer variety ones grow the raspberries on the canes which have grown the previous year, whereas autumn raspberries grow on the same canes what grow that year. So you need to know which variety you are growing. Why not get some of both so that you get a continuous crop of raspberries all the way through summer and autumn. Rhubarb. My rhubarb's just started waking up now. It had grown some really good rhubarb on it, and then the cold came, killed it off again, went back to sleep. Now it started waking back up again until the cold comes again. So if you're wanting to grow rhubarb, now is the time to be planting a rhubarb crown. But don't pick any rhubarb from it in its first year. It needs to take root and it needs to get growing. And yeah, don't be tempted to pick any from it from the first year. And yeah, why not try growing some rhubarb from seed? I've grown rhubarb from seed before and it's done very well. So if you wanted to grow some rhubarb from seed, give it a go, but obviously it'll take quite a few years to get up and running, so you might as well just go out and get a rhubarb crown if you want. Strawberry plants, you can now start planting your strawberries this month. You'd think that they wouldn't be able to manage through the cold weather, but they are. They're strong, tough plants to say how small they are. So it's good to replace plants that are older than 3 years old, as they won't produce many strawberries. So keep planting new ones every few years and you'll get a great crop of strawberries. And I know I've got over 200 plants on my pot, so I'm going to have a fantastic crop of strawberries down at my allotment this year. And I've still got a load more in my greenhouse that I need to plant out. So watch this space for how many strawberry plants I'm going to be planting. So that was everything that you can plant in the fruit garden in February. So obviously now if you're starting an allotment this year, it's perfect opportunity to be getting these fruit trees and plants planted. And again, like I say, they're everywhere that you look at the moment. In the supermarkets, they've got all the fruit plants and stuff like that. So get looking around, get looking for those bargains, and get growing some fruit down on your allotment, because it will pay for itself. It will pay off the allotment with how much fruit you can get from fruits, bushes, and trees. So next up, we're going to be looking at what to plant in the flower garden. And again, I didn't used to grow flowers on my allotment, but now I absolutely love growing flowers, because the more bees and the more wildlife I get to the plot, the more fruit we get from our plants, because the more bees that are attractive to it, the more they'll pollinate the flowers and you'll get more produce from your allotment. So if you're wanting to be starting some flowers off, this is a good month to be starting some of these plants off. So first up are begonias. Now is the time to wake up your begonia tuners. This can be done planting the tubers in pots of compost at a minimum temperature of 10 degrees. Chrysanthemums, if you're wanting to grow these fantastic showstopper flowers, sow some seed this month in your greenhouse for fantastic blooms in the garden and the allotment. I've never actually grown some showstopper chrysanthemums. Maybe I need to give it a try and see if we can actually grow some fantastic looking ones down at the allotment. So I might add that to my list as well this year. Dahlias, these can look amazing in the garden, blooming all summer. So sow the seed this month for planting out later this year. Geraniums, they're quite expensive to buy geraniums, but you can actually grow them easy from seed. And I've done this in my greenhouse before. I've started them off from seed and had flowers on them the same year. And if you dig the geraniums up and put them in the greenhouse over the winter, you can plant them back out the year after. So geraniums are a good flower to grow. So now is the time to be sowing the geranium seeds in the greenhouses. Lilies, if you wanted to grow some amazing flowers which have fantastic fragrance in the garden, start sowing your lily bulbs now. And again, these will be in the supermarkets and the shop, the lily bulbs. I've seen them in my local ones. So get out and buy some lilies for the garden. Lobelia, these look fantastic in pots and hanging baskets, so sow some in the greenhouse this month in February for fantastic displays in your hanging baskets and pots. And they're very small seeds, and I mean absolutely really small. Roses, I've seen these in the supermarkets, they're everywhere at the moment, but now is the time to be planting bare-rooted roses in the garden for fantastic summer displays all year long. Sweet peas, one of the best flowers you can grow at the allotment, and trust me, I absolutely love growing flowers. Especially sweet peas, because you can just keep cutting them off, and the more you keep cutting them, the more they flower and they keep on going throughout the year. So if you want to grow some sweet peas, now is the time to start sowing them. So that is everything that you can plant in your flower garden. So obviously, like I say, these episodes are going to get longer as the year goes on, as you can plant more and more stuff as it starts to get warmer. But we do usually try and keep these episodes pretty short and sweet. But I hope that you found all this information useful. I hope you've got a nice long list of things that you can start sowing at your plot. Remember to think about whether you want to start them this month or next month, whether you want to start them in the greenhouse or if you've got enough light in the house to grow some stuff. But like I say, a lot of the stuff I will be planting next month. So remember on the temperatures and stuff like that as well. If you've not checked out, there's a link in the description of my Amazon gift list. I know people have said that they want to help me in the past, so I've added a gift list now so that you can buy little bits for my allotment if you fancy it, and I will obviously show the pictures of it on my Instagram and stuff like that. Thank you for all the support that you do give me. And yeah, if you've not clicked hit the follow us button on here or the subscribe button, please do, and you'll be able to stay up to date with all my podcasts. And after I finish recording this one, I'm going to be recording tomorrow's, so make sure you come back for tomorrow's episode, because we're going to be talking about all the jobs which need to be done in the allotment and garden in February. And again, that's usually another good topic to talk about, so make sure you come back for tomorrow's episode. Until then, remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben, everyone. And that wraps up another episode of Gardening with Ben. Thank you for joining me in this journey. Remember, every seed planted is a step towards a greener world, and every day is a chance to grow something beautiful. Keep nurturing your gardens and your souls. Until next time, I'm Gardening with Ben, reminding you to let your garden be your sanctuary. Happy gardening, and see you in the next episode. Remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben.